and then go broadcast.
Sweet.
Excellent. Okay, welcome back. Thank you very much for coming back.
Almost like a death.
Muerte.
Muerte.
Where's the book? Now, we only have like 20 minutes, and I'm going to go really quickly through the content of the next 6 weeks. That's all I'm going to do, and I'm not going to go into any detail, but I'm going to try and give you a hint about what's coming up. But when we look at Mr. Yama or death, I want to read to you the way that Kensho Rinpoche, Geshe Michael Roach's teacher, taught this for about a year. But this quote is at the back of his book, which you'll find on, it's a rare book now, but it's beautiful. And if you could just close your eyes and think about this for you or the people that you like or the people that you love or the people around you, if you could just take a moment to think about the reality of this. We don't think about death that much in the West, but I want you just to touch it for a little bit. Yeah, if you could just relax and I'll just read it out. If you imagine an old Tibetan Lama saying this to you, everybody has this monster, death, this demon. Everybody has that monster, everybody. He is within us all the time within us. Everybody has that monster, and that monster from the very beginning of our lives tries to eat us. He starts to eat us from the beginning. When he finishes eating us, this is the time we die. How does he eat us? We don't know he is eating us. You don't know, but he makes you older and older and older and older. He eats your health quickly, quickly, quickly. Eats your youth and your good health. He eats and eats and eats until sometime the strength of your body is finished. Then he is finished. We have this monster all the time together with us. He is our nature. That is what our nature is. We cannot avoid that nature. We have it all the time, and that nature finishes us.
Is there any way to
Yeah, did I not put it in your book? Yeah, it could be in your book, and if not, I highly encourage you to grab. It's in the book, yeah, on page... Page 3, okay? So, but it's tiny, tiny writing. I tell you got the bad karma of half a book, yeah? You were supposed to be double the size. I don't know what's happened. It's a tiny book.
It fits right in my...
We have to talk about it like this. When we'll talk about death in the coming classes, this is what a monster means. And this is what happens to every living being that is born on this planet. Every living being we can see, and every living being that we cannot see. We'll talk about that philosophy later on. If you haven't been unfortunate enough to have somebody close to you die, when you do, you get a sense for this, that it's coming to everybody. My dad passed away about a year ago, actually a year ago exactly. And I had to fly down to South America, and I saw him breathing for about an hour before he died. That's it, I got an hour, and he didn't see me. I just saw him breathing harshly. And he was destroyed. Had been chopped up and fallen over and stitched up. And a couple of things occurred to me, thanks to my Buddhist practice of 12 years or something. I had the ability of mind to know it was coming, to have studied Mr. Death through Geshe Michael and the rest, and think about it as a reality. Death, from the Buddhist perspective, is just a shift in your perception. It's just a change of consciousness. I don't know if you've ever been happy and then something happens to you and you're unhappy. I don't know if you've ever been well and then suddenly you're not well. Those transform. I don't know if you've just been mulling around your life and then suddenly something happens and you've got a house or a partner and things transform quickly. They seem to transform quickly. According to Buddhism, these are tiny bits of karmas ripening in your mind. This movie projected outwardly is your life. Mr. Death is just one of those projections. He is just a change of your consciousness. You are one moment alive and suddenly you have a sense that your body is not you anymore. We'll talk about that in detail. This idea that this is me. We live with that all our lives. We're caught with that. And at the point of death, you get a sense, you begin to get a sense as the body stops responding to you that you are not it. This you, this perceiver, is not it. It's not the stuff. And yet it's this consciousness shifting for a moment caused by something that makes you dead, makes you perceived yourself as dead. We'll talk about that in detail. When I saw my dad die, I saw his wife be so upset, crying, wailing, pulling at his body, as if somehow it was going to help him. He was gone. He wasn't going to live no matter how much pulling or how many prods he was going to get and the rest. You could tell that, and if not then, in a week's time, he was coming. He was shocked and horrified, and I've seen some people die. If you haven't seen anybody die, when you do, you get a sense. The first thing that popped into my mind was not my dad, and it was thanks to these ideas that come from a Buddhist tradition that say every being that walks this planet will experience that. Each one of us and each of the people we know, each of the persons we've hugged, we've dreamed about, we've loved, we've hated, every single one of them will lose their mum and their dad and their brothers and themselves. And I got that sense when I saw my dad, who's a crazy bastard. So I'll tell you about him another time. So I also got this sense of, it's finished. But you know, he was a crazy, crazy bastard. I walked out the next day out of organising his funeral. I'd never done that before. So I had to find a casket, keep the wife from screaming, and the doctors from prodding, and all this stuff. And I'm a little like, okay, practice, practice, practice. And I walk out of having to fork out, I can't remember how much money to do the funeral service. It was all too quick. And I walked down the stairs from the funeral home. My dad's in a box. I'd seen him, yeah? And there's this mirror looking at me when I walk down the stairs. And he's got the same googly eyes as I do, the same crazy eyebrows, yeah? The big teeth. And it scared the shit out of me.
You're on
This was the last DNA that holds that look on the planet. I look exactly like him. I have way more hair, than he did. And that's not a lot. And I got this sense that it's coming. It's coming for each one of us and everyone we love. So what do you do with that? And then I remembered the first time I met Geshe Michael. Yeah. I mean, I used to just have that thought about him. What the hell? I mean, who's this dude with robes, a Western guy? Who does he think he is? Self-righteous. I mean, I had all these horrible thoughts. Bow down to the Lama, whatever. Get some identity. I mean, I used to think these horrible thoughts. I pulled and pushed, against this idea of studying Buddhism because of this idea that no one's better than anyone else, this crazy thing. His words came into my head. And I just knew that it was coming for everybody, and it helped me at that moment. It helped me realize that the experience I was having is caused by something. And we'll talk about it in the picture, why it's caused. We'll talk about death and what happens around and after death. The other thing that we'll talk about is this thing called the bardo. Now we've got 10 minutes, so I'll be really, really quick. Yeah? The bardo is white on the left, right on the black on the right, and it's karmas or states of minds that are in your mind in between lives. The black pulls you down. You have this experience of pulling down and this experience of being pushed up by virtue or goodnesses in your mind as you have this change of perception between being a live body and a dead body. You have this center in just Yeah, I don't know if you can see it there. Can you see it there?
The animals?
No,
Right
outside
outside.
the animals, that there.
Oh,
The black part and the that's supposed to be white. Yeah?
the white part around.
Yeah, yeah. So half of it is white and half of it is black. And we'll talk about, there's some sutras that have been found lately that there's supposed to be another color, and we'll talk about that. It's called the intermediate stage, and what happens to your mind when you remove the connection between being a body and you still have consciousness and you want to figure out this form. There's a period that happens in between incarnations. I want to talk about incarnations at another time. You don't get your mind or your soul stuffed into a human body and zipped up and then you are a human. You don't get your soul or your mind comes out. My dad's dead, he's in the bardo, someone grabs his soul and stuffs it into a pig and then he's a pig. You know, it's not like that. It's the similar transformation of consciousness that you've had all your life. I don't know if you remember looking at your 3-year-old hand when you were 3. It's not the same hand. Something shifted. It's not the hand that's shifted according to Buddhism. It's your mind, some seeds in your mind forcing you to see a more beautiful hand. Yeah? We'll talk about that. That's the Bardo. We'll talk about the 6 realms, which are really 5 realms, and I'll go through them really quickly. Yeah? The first 2 are the pleasure realms. Now, in most paintings, this is painted in reverse to most paintings, and I don't know why in this particular painting it's in that order. So these are gods or demigods in Tibetan, pleasure beings, beings that are made of subtle bodies. They're experiencing way more pleasure than humans, only pleasure. They have a little competition between each other. That's why there's demigods and gods, and every now and then they get into a big shit fight. But most of the time, they're just experiencing bliss, and there's a cause for that. Yeah.
Are they literal, like real, or just metaphor?
As literal, that's a great question. Sorry, that's a great question. Is this just metaphors or is this literal? Yeah? My answer to that will come over the next 6 weeks deeper, but today I'm going to say it is as metaphorical as the difference between when you were 5 and what you are now. If someone told you when you were 5 you would look like that, and you'd experience the world like that, and it was some idea that you had, but now you're having this experience, it's literal for you. You're having this experience. From the Buddhist perspective, a mind can have a totally blissed out experience of life and still be in this realm. One of those beings can be in this world, We can't see them. We might not be able to see them, or we might, but we can't tell what they're experiencing. So I'll leave it at that for now. Yeah? It's a good question to have in your mind. If you peel away any prejudice of Western thinking from it for a little while we talk about it, you'll get much more of an answer about it. Yeah? It's coming. This is just an introduction, day 1, yeah? We'll get into depth about every aspect of the wheel coming over. Then we have human beings and human realms, which is us. And if you look at the spectrum of human beings that are existent on the planet, I have this clock on my webpage when I turn it on, and it counts how many people are being birthed and how many people are dying and how many left over. Yeah, way more left over than are birthing and dying. Yeah, less people dying than birthing, and it's this mass of humanity spreading over the globe.
Wait, less people are
Dying than borning.
being born.
I'm epic. I was born when I was very young. So this is the human realm. We'll talk about the human condition, what it is. Then there's an animal realm. Now when I say realm, again, it's not someone stuffing your mind into an animal and then you're an animal. It's not that. You shift perception and then you see the world as an animal. You see the world as a human. We'll talk about that in detail. It's a special way of thinking about the world. It's not like we're used to. We have this, the praetors or craving spirits, and there's this realm where beings are born or experience their lives where they are forever craving and can never satisfy those cravings. The hungry ghosts, yeah, craving spirits, hungry ghosts, great, that's that realm. And at the bottom there you'll see the hell realms, and if you ever read Dante's Inferno, it's the same as what they depict in in the Buddhist scriptures. Yeah, there's layer of unimaginable suffering. Stuff that you read in there is you wish you hadn't. We'll talk about that. And here are the 3 poisons. We'll talk about it just quickly. There's liking things in a stupid way. There's nothing wrong with liking. Yeah, you should like good things. You should like things intelligently. And I'll tell you from a Buddhist perspective what intelligently means from a Buddhist perspective, with a right view perspective. But because we are clinging and craving things in an ignorant way, not knowing how reality really exists, so we interact with it in that ignorant way, we are craving it and wanting it. Then we dislike, yeah?
Can you just tell us which animal?
Sure. Liking things, excellent, thank you. Liking things is the chicken, it's a rooster, and it's pecking, wanting more. Our minds are doing this all the time. I like that, I don't like that. The aircon, yes. The hair color, the this, the that, forever. I like that, I don't like that. The don't like it, the dispelling, is the snake. It sheds its skin. It doesn't want stuff. Yeah? So it dislikes, ignorantly, not knowing that the world is a certain way, but because we experience it in the way we do, we'll talk about it in detail, we collect experiences and karmas that force us to have negative experiences because we're interacting with the world with the wrong view about it. We think things come from the Large Hadron Collider. So the liking is the chicken, which used to be a pigeon. Yeah, for 2 reasons: pecks, what, and reproduces like rabbits. Yeah, more pigeons.
What do you mean it used to be a pigeon?
In one of the earliest sutras, and somehow it changed over time. Probably the one that the Buddha painted was a pigeon. It wasn't a rooster. Yeah, it became a rooster later on. The way that they're painted in this particular example, and not that particular example, is here. They are both coming from ignorance, which is the pig. Yeah, pig being a special kind of ignorance, and there's a meaning behind the Buddhist word for ignorance. And it's about ignorance about the nature of reality. We are having an experience of life. We're interacting with it from the Hadron Collider perspective. I see you, I touch you. Yeah? I see you, I touch you. I like you, I don't like you. You know that already. Yeah? And I behave towards you in a chicken kind of way because I like you. In a snake kind of way because I dislike you. I do that for breakfast, I do that with brushing my teeth, I do that with my underwear, I do that with my home, I do that with my boss, I do that with everything. These 3 states of mind, that's what the chicken and the snake and the pig are with us all the time. And every action that we do, in fact, forces us to have the experience of that wheel outside. That's what drives this experience of suffering. Ignorance is the pig. From that, this wheel outside is turning into every existence, every experience that we have. The liking this and going through the job, going through the shopping, going through I want to get healthy, I want a relationship, I like my boss, yeah? That. Skinny heels 1 year, fat heels the next year. Got to get more shoes, yeah? The 12 links of dependent origination are going to be the key to figuring out how to get out of this wheel of life, like King Udrayana and the Buddha. In fact, the first link over here is a blind person walking. It means ignorance. We'll talk about that in detail. It's the same as the pig. If you break that link, you break all the cause and effect that enables the wheel to come into being. There's a startup cycle of reading this wheel. So there's this way clockwise action. Link number 1 causes link number 2. If you do link number 2 because you did link number 1, you must do number 3. If you did number 3 because you did number 3, you will have to experience number 4, 5, and 6, and 7, all the way to link 12, which is that one, which is dying, old age and dying, which will happen to everybody. So you go from not understanding the nature of reality, link number 1, and all the things that come because of that, which force us to get old and die. We'll talk about that in detail. And that's lung jung means going the right order, yeah, the forward order, the startup cycle. You can reverse the cycle, doc, I think it's called, by putting a spanner in number one, doing something to that first link of ignorance, and because you've never had that, second link can never go off, which means if the second link never goes off, all links 3 stop happening in your mind, all links 4 stop happening in your mind, all the way to seeing yourself age and die. It's a radical idea in Buddhism that if you know how to operate this device, you can stop death. You can stop the wheel of life from going on and on and on, both for the mini cycles. I don't like the boss, he doesn't like me, I hate you, you hate me. Stopping those, yes, but stopping the big ones. They're having to be gone through again and again. We'll talk about reincarnation in the next. In fact, that's why the Buddha is painted outside the wheel. He's not inside the clutches of Mr. Death. That's what we'll talk about the Buddha. He's outside, and we'll talk about the message in the moon. And I'll read you the first part. It says, take this up. This is what the Buddha instructed people to write underneath Nirvana. Take this up and give that up. Enter the Buddha's teaching. Destroy the forces of the Lord of Death like an elephant crashing a house of reeds. That's the first part of the instruction on how to unlock the wheel. And each one of those words has a meaning that will help you figure out how to use this device, this ultimate blueprint, to the device that is you, that is your mind, that is the thing that experiences the world. And all the hurts and all the happinesses that you have, how to get more of those that stay, not that go away, and how to stop the causes of those things from going away. I can't have the experience you're having in your world. Only you are having those experiences. So this is just a map. The blueprint is not the terrain. The map is not the terrain. You are the terrain. Your inner landscape is the terrain. What each one of you are experiencing every day of your lives is the terrain. This is just a mega map on how to get past that to a point where you can go and hang out with Mr. Buddha. Yeah? I hope I gave you a quick overview of the content in the Wheel of Life. I know that I'm running a little over. Was that helpful at all? Was it? Can you get some information that will help you satisfy those expectations that you came to? I'm sorry I rushed through it. I wanted to have given you a little bit more detail into each one of those figures, but the next 5 weeks we'll go into detail on how to get the stuff that's in this Wheel of Life and make it applicable to you. Now, I can't do that for you. You have to do that. You have to go, well, my boss is giving me grief. How do I use this to stop that experience of my life or some other major experience? Maybe you've got an illness. Maybe you've got some want to do something else. How you use this is for you. Right? And can it just happen to a king 2,500 years ago that he sees an image? He sees an image that's like that, and something sparks off in his mind that wakes him up from all the hurts and all the sufferings. Is it just for one dude? Or is it possible? Imagine that it is possible. That if you listen with the right intent, if you fill in the dots of your little stick man or woman, that is the you listening to this, imagine that if it was possible to get some experience out of the details in this blueprint, that you could fix something. Now, depending on your ability and internal awareness, it can be as tiny as, I'm just going to have a better time in this shitty world, or as massive as, I want to reach a state of enlightenment, and actually it's possible for me to become a Buddha, to reach Nirvana. Because that's what this is saying. It's saying the state of being that is the human experience, it was a mistake. It doesn't have to be this way. Things don't have to turn to shit all the time. And eventually, every bit of experience and happiness that we've had ripped away. It doesn't have to happen. happen. You don't have to look at your reflection in the mirror and say, I'm next. So there's an opportunity here for you to connect with that side of you that might be scary or excited, genuinely about, is this all that there is? Buying cars and buying houses and going to jobs and saving money and then having to leave it to kids and grandkids who don't really care for my name 2 generations later? You know? Yeah.
And the 6 realms, which one is number 1 and which one's number 2?
Good, number 1 and number 2. The top one is number 1, which is the pleasure beings, and the one a little bit lower than that is the neo-pleasure beings.
Oh, okay, because it doesn't go in order.
No, I know. Not in that order. I wanted it to go in order as well.
And that little red thing, what is that?
The little, these things here, they're these instructions. These 2 instructions
Those are the instructions.
that the Buddha said, this is how you unlock the wheel. This is how you, if we can decipher what, take this up and give that up, which I'll talk about. If we know what the hell that means, we'll figure out how to stop the cycle. So this,
Those are like the instructions.
on how to use.
And did you call that a barcode? Or-
No, the bardo is the 2 semicircles nearly at the center, the black and white one. That's the bardo. Good. So thank you for listening to this thing. What I'd like to do now is really try and generate a sense of, if anything touched you in a meaningful way, imagine other people. Imagine other people who are wanting this kind of stuff for their lives because they're hurting or they're wanting answers and they don't know how. Give that sensation to them. It might be, I don't know, your mum, your uncle, your brother, sister, loved ones, or it could be all the poor bastards in the hell rooms. Yeah. So imagine that whatever goodness that you felt in your heart, as we do this mandala offering and dedication, that's all that those words are. It's just that experience to say, I wish other people could have that. That will have profound implications on you. It doesn't matter about the words of the thing. It matters about what you're feeling. Yeah? And so as we do this, we try and really safeguard it from ever disappearing. That's what we're doing now. Just finally, if you imagine that being that we had on top of your head that was hanging around all the time that we were listening to this stuff, if you can imagine them slightly descending into the top of your head and coming down alongside the inside of your spine into a tiny little pocket around the space of your heart at the center of your chest, filling you with a sensation of light, and then radiating out as far as you can. Thank you. Come again.
Oh, so we connected the dots.
We connected the dots. Check that out. Sorry. Yeah.
So this is 3 jewels. If anyone's not been here before, we have like yoga and dharma classes. And everything's by donation, even yoga, even dharma. And we have some other things. We have our Friday night meditation with Venerable Thich and Very good meditation here Friday nights at 7.
Morning meditation.
Monday,
She's doing tomorrow morning.
Monday through
Eve.
Saturday.
Eve's one of our yoga teachers. So we have good yoga classes and they pay what you want.
Tuesday nights is a very in-depth study of the same Buddhist texts that monasteries, monks in monasteries study for 12 years, are being run here every Tuesday night, starting next Tuesday.
The course coming up is called the Diamond Cutter Sutra. So it's all about karma and
Seven.
happiness. Tuesdays at 7, starting
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, yeah.
the 27th.
Yeah, and they're incredible and in-depth, and I'm only going to cover an overview of Buddhist teachings here. You get the real deal, yeah, without the Aussie accent, on Tuesday nights with John Stillwell.
A good course coming up. And we have Qigong, if anyone's interested, on Tuesdays. And acupuncture on Thursdays. And acupuncture, it helps, they contribute, the acupuncturists contribute to the support of the center. And it's only $30. So if you know anybody who needs acupuncture, it's quite a deal. And if you can contribute, the donation will.
Actually, that's true. I didn't mention about the donation, and the Three Rules is totally run on a voluntary basis. There is no money that you can pay to get an experience of changing your life. There is no money you can count on it. You can't ask for $20 or $30. I mean, imagine if the ability for you to see your dad dying and have a transformational experience that you could help all the other people around you as this horrible thing is happening, including brothers and sisters and the rest, because someone put some idea in your head from a dude called the Buddha and Geshe Michael. Yeah? So there's no worth to that. So this center is run totally on volunteer. So if you can, it's good for you, really good for you to even a little bit help in that donation volume. Most importantly, and we'll learn in the classes that are coming, as you're doing that and putting in whatever you can in there, think about what it's contributing to the other people that are coming to this space, hearing this stuff. That for them it might be the moment, or it might be the thing. Yeah, that's really more important than the paper you put in there. Yeah, but hopefully it's really big paper. Thanks. Please come back. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Yeah. Actually, can you stop and don't forget to press
Stop record.
yeah, stop broadcast and stop.